So, I warn you now, I've got a new wheelie whiteboard. I'm armed, and I'm ready to use it. Those of you who don't know, I like to draw pictures. Very bad pictures. Stop laughing, Steve. Look, and it does this. You can loosen it and it flips over, so I can do additional pictures. Supplementary picture. Today's theme is the kingdom of God, growing and glorious. And as I said, the theme I want to really put out there as we come into a time of worship at the start of the day is the theme of covenant. And it's so important because it underpins this, the kingdom of God, and the fact that it is growing and glorious, and it just dominates God's relationship with his people. So it is the wedding season, isn't it, Hannah? How many weddings you been to?
Last week.
Yeah.
2 this year.
4. I've done 3. Any advances on 4? I did 3. I think you were at one of them at least. Maybe 2. What a wedding is basically the making of a covenant. A lasting connection between two people. An opportunity where people come together and they're going to say, we're going to share our journey, we're going to unite our stories. And you know, covenant is an important word, it's an important concept in our understanding of who God is and how we relate to him, and importantly, how he relates to us, how God relates to us. This is what I heard recently as I was preparing. A covenant is binding together to accomplish something that can only be accomplished through that partnership. So a covenant is a binding together to accomplish something that can only be accomplished through that partnership. And it fits with the Hebrew understanding, or the Bible was written in Greek in the New Testament, Hebrew in the Old Testament, or predominantly Greek in the New Testament. And the two words for covenant, when I talk, I'm going to do a bit of Hebrew. I don't want you to think I know it. I read it in a book, all right? Google is a wonderful thing, okay? And it's helpful. I have apps on my phone, but the two words, the Hebrew word is berit, and the Greek word is diatheke. So binding together to accomplish something that can only be accomplished through that partnership. This is really important. So this is the Hebrew word, the Hebrew understanding, entering into a formal, so it's legal, relation. So it's entering into a formal relational partnership to accomplish a goal. So it's this sense of it leading to something. There's a purpose to it. So binding together to accomplish something that can only be accomplished through a partnership, and entering into a formal relational, so it's kind of legal and personal partnership, but it's the next bit. This is the Hebrew understanding, to accomplish a goal. And I just keep that in mind, because God is a covenant-making God. You see this at different points in the Old Testament, and ultimately you see it with Christ and the New Covenant. I'm just going to look at some of the Old Testament covenants, and just a little bit about this. You know, there are 5, well, some say there's 7, some say there's 8, but generally people think there are 5 covenants in the Bible, 4 in the Old Testament, 1 in the New. First one, anyone know it? First covenant in the Old Testament. Well, the one with Adam's an interesting one. I'll come on to that in a little bit. Some would say yes, and some would say it's not technically a covenant. The first sort of proper covenant. Rosie, raise your hand. Noah. Okay, so we're going to go. I'm going to think about how to draw this. I should have thought this through. So we've got the word covenant. And we've got Noah. So that's the first covenant. So Noah, God made a covenant with Noah. So it's following the flood. God makes this covenant with Noah, stating that although he knew that humanity will continue to be evil, God will never destroy the earth again. Okay, that was the covenant. It was with Noah, with humanity, and he said, look, I'm never going to do this again. Instead, the earth will be this reliable place for us to work. So what's the next? Anyone know what the next one? Said it already. Abraham, yeah? I'll have to start again. So Abraham, this is a covenant that focuses on family. So we've got the covenant with Noah, kind of individual. Then we've got a covenant with Abraham that focuses on family. And this is what God says. He chooses Abraham. He promises to bless him and give him a land and a large family. But what he asks of Abraham was to trust him and to train this family to trust and follow him and do what is just and right. And then what he says, if you do this, this family will grow and will show the world what God is like, bringing his blessing to all families through this one family. Yeah? So we've got this individual covenant, and then we've got this covenant with Abraham, and it's about family. And then this family becomes like a tribe, doesn't it? Family goes into the tribe of Israel. And the next covenant is made with Moses. Although really it's with Israel. But he makes it through Moses. So he gives them his law. And he says, I'm giving you the law because I want to show you how to live well as my partners, how to fulfill this covenant. He says, I want you to show you how to live. And if they do this, then God will bless them, and they'll become a people that will represent himself to the rest of humanity. Okay? So we've got a covenant with Noah on behalf of the whole world, but Abraham as family, Israel, Moses is the tribe. But then we come on to the next covenant with, anyone know? David. So what happened is Abraham, the family became a tribe, and the tribe became a nation. Do you see what's happening? It's growing. It's advancing. Yeah? It goes from Noah to a family, to a tribe, to a nation. So God asked David to partner with him by leading Israel according to the law. And he wants him to do what is right. And God then promises one of David's sons, not direct sons, his ancestors, he will extend his kingdom of peace and blessing through one of his sons. So there's this promise that it will go from, a nation to the nations. Can you see the progression and how this has developed and grown? This covenant starts with a covenant. God says, I am connecting myself with you. I'm connecting myself with you. And together we can do something. Together we can do something. We'll come on to that a little bit when we start talking about Genesis in a moment. But we're just talking about covenant at the moment, how he's entered into this connection, this relationship. Remember what it says? To accomplish something through partnership. This is important. And then you look at the Hebrew word, to accomplish a goal. And we'll look at that a little bit in a moment. Does this make sense? We all good? So, God is a covenantal God. He has chosen to connect himself with his people. That's us. And this is important. This is important. He has chosen to enter into almost like a marital relationship. There's a connectivity. He will never break it. He'll never break it. The trouble is that he broke it, he broke it, he broke it, and he broke it. Do you know what I mean? So it always went so far. Something more was needed, and that will be the next covenant, the new covenant that Jesus creates. But I just want to start and just quickly, what about God? What does this tell us about God? God is a covenantal God. What does it tell us about who he is? Becky? Yeah. Yeah. I'm writing this really small. I know you won't be able to see it. Do you think it's risky? Do you think it's a bit reckless? You know, there's a big conversation, isn't there? Can we sing about the reckless love of God? I don't like that conversation. Is it a bit reckless? I'm going to make myself, dare I say, I know God is sovereign and I know he's powerful, but doesn't it create a little bit of almost vulnerability? That he's created us and then he says, I'm going to partner with you. He's given us a real sense of responsibility, and that's what I want to get to grips with today. I want us as the church to get to grips with. Does that make sense? Have I just really blown it theologically? But I think the key is that he keeps his promises. You know, you read the Old Testament and you read Jeremiah, and Israel had gone off and just turn its back on God. And it talks about, this is so horrible to think about, but it's like it talks about Israel like a prostitute on the side of the road, kind of selling herself. Because he's a covenantal God. And when his people turn his back on them, that's what it's like. It's like a betrayal of that kind of magnitude. Does that make sense? And there's other bits about, you know, he likens Israel to is it like a cow seeking I don't know, looking to do whatever. You know, anyway, I hadn't written that down. Okay, so this is the covenantal God that we serve. This is the covenantal God who has connected himself to us, Steve. So that will be the new covenant. It's all right. We've got all morning. All right, James, come and lead us in worship. Can we worship the covenantal God?